Hi, I started my spiritual search when I was about 15 years old, and I'm gonna be 28 soon, so that's 12, almost 13 years now. In this time, I have seen and experienced quite a bit, and I've tried many different approaches in my search for answers. Today, I wanted to share my main takeaways. Of course, this is just my individual experience and it will be different for everybody. We come from such various backgrounds and learn different things at different times. And just because maybe something is popular or your friend loves it doesn't make it a good fit for you as well. Learning how to discern whether something is right for us or not is actually already one of the most important things. It sounds kind of obvious, but really often this is quite underestimated. Because there is so much stuff out there these days, from woke influencers to gurus. The buffet offers everything. You have the self-development books, the self-help books, and the motivational speakers and mindset trainers and healers. There's the different religions and traditions, spiritual celebrities, the affirmation, manifestation, visualization approach, and of course the New Age realm with tarot cards and angels and channeling and chakra work, energy healing. Yeah, and the list goes on and on and on. When I was about 18, I started to really explore all these different areas. After my graduation, I was so determined to find answers to this inner call that I had to find myself. And I did get quite lost in the beginning. It's a jungle out there. And I was an easy target. I was young and naive. And that's something to keep in mind. There is huge business behind the spiritual market, and the favorite target are young, sensitive, insecure groups of people who are more easily influenced. A study showed that 70 to 80% of people who buy self-help books are women. Of course, not everything is bad, and it all has its place and value. It all can be helpful stepping stones, but also quite a bit is unnecessary and you could just skip it. I didn't find myself in any of these things because it just falls short. We really have to touch base and go to the root of where our problems are actually coming from first. Otherwise, everything is just going around it in circles, repeating the same things in different variations, just buying time basically. I have found nothing as direct and effective as trauma healing. You could also say healing your childhood, your family background, your ancestral line, or even your karma. It doesn't really matter how you call it, but that's what it's really about, that's what it comes down to. These are your roots. Nothing shapes you as much as the first few years of your life. And this is exactly where so-called developmental trauma happens and what this trauma therapy that I am referring to is all about. I actually don't really like the term trauma because people immediately associate it with something super horrible happening. And most, including myself, wouldn't think they had any trauma because nothing bad really happened. But developmental trauma is something a little bit different. And sorry if you hear weird noises, that's my cat in the background. It's relatively new research and definitely not talked about enough. This would be especially important in spiritual circles where many people actually end up because of trauma. But many, if not most, people have it to some degree or another. It can even be inherited. So now the postman rang. I got a little bit interrupted, but yeah, I was about to say that of course there are very different approaches that deal with this or similar topics. I personally just found this trauma therapy to be the most effective and also really great because it's not woo-woo. It's not coming from any religion. It doesn't have to do anything with spirituality. It's based on research, so everybody can understand and do it. It's quite simple and logical for the mind to understand, but also deals with the most deep-rooted things in our lives. And it's just about the basis of how we human beings function. So once we've dealt with our roots and all this trauma stuff, we can then go on to higher spiritual practice. As we all know, we need roots to grow and wings to fly. And I'm seeing now that this trauma healing and spirituality actually go together, and one automatically can lead to the other. Basically, in life we can say there are two different levels that exist simultaneously: the relative and the absolute. The relative, you have your material life, your background, your individual journey, your person. Most people only live here, creating their lives. And what I've talked about until now has been in reference to this layer, because the absolute is beyond it all. It's beyond material life and time and change, and it's actually where we're all going towards, where we'll transcend our personal ego and find our true essence and stillness and peace, the end goal, so to say. Who we call enlightened masters are people who have realized this state. I happen to be lucky enough to have met one of those rare beings, and it completely changed my life. It's when my theoretical knowledge turned into actual experience, because when it comes to this, experience is everything. We can't understand this with our mind by learning and studying alone. It's because it's not complex, it's quite simple, and it's also not about a long journey. The experience itself is quite immediate. Also not something that we can become, because it's what we already are. Meeting this master was when I could finally drop my search and really start to focus only on this internal exploration. I came to experience states of no mind, no thought, just presence. And I realized that this is, in fact, my true self, and that we are all this pure consciousness. And that's what I've always been looking for, but didn't know. Because it's quite easily overlooked and underrated. Because it's so simple, so natural and obvious. There's no angels and trumpets, and you can't really sell it. But really, this is it. It's what we're ultimately all looking for. Our true self, our essence. Peace. This really is the most important, and we could forget about the rest. But of course, this doesn't mean that we should neglect our material life. Not at all. This is actually a mistake that many make. It's just as important, and we can enjoy it even more and more. I see that the right things just come at the right time by itself, and much faster. So we can then also take from this spiritual buffet whatever feels fun and right, and what is helpful in the moment. We can see it as supportive tools and use it consciously, but not get lost in or expect to find ourselves in it. It can be playful, but we won't confuse the levels, because of course our individual path will always keep unfolding and maturing, as the relative and the absolute both exist at the same time. There really is no end to this. At least that's where I'm at right now, but I also wouldn't say that I'm enlightened, so yeah, I leave it at that. So, what's the essence of all this? Well, you can't find yourself in any of the things out there, because you are already what you're searching for. But heal your bloody trauma first. I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for listening. Bye.